My TBR is not inspiring me anymore, and we need to change that. Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. The thing is, all of these are books that I want to read in theory, but I feel zero inkling to actually pick them up. I have books in the category of I could finish this in an afternoon. I have books in the category of I loved what this author has written previously, and I think I'm going to probably love this one as well. I have books that have been on my TBR for literally years, and I still haven't picked them up, even though I really want to read these. The thing is, I don't know if this is a me problem or if this is a problem with the content that I consume. Because, you know, I don't think a lot of people outside of the book community would just buy literally 20 books a month or more and then not read them and just keep them. I think that is a behavior that is very specifically tied to this community and also very normalized by it. And I think a lot of the times I have bought these books, that was because I was influenced, and there's nothing particularly wrong with people, you know, sharing this type of content, sharing a very consumeristic side of being a reader and being a book collector. But as somebody who consumes that content like a lot, like basically all of my YouTube watching is just book content, I used to find it very difficult to kind of draw the line between, okay, that's what they want, that's what makes them happy, and that's what I want, and that's what's making me happy. So with a lot of these books, I bought them or got them because I thought I wanted to read them, or because I thought I had to own them. Because truthfully, I just think that a lot of these could have been an ebook. Ebooks are something that I definitely want to get more into. Tomorrow is my birthday, and I'm probably going to get myself a new e-reader because my e-reader is low-key crappy. I'm probably going to get that, and then I'm going to become an ebook girly. The thing is, most of these I don't need physical copies of. Some of these I do. Like a lot of the classics I read, I want to annotate this. I'm so excited. Look at this cover. I can put such pretty sticky tabs in this book. I'm so excited for that. But with War and Peace, for example, I started this and I did tab it a little bit, as you can see. My plan was to literally just use this one color of blue. Do you know through how many tabs I would have gone if I actually did that? Why would I prefer this over the ebook version? I don't know. The thing is, with a lot of these books, I have started them previously, including War and Peace. And once I start a book and DNF it, I have such a hard time picking it back up again. Because, for example, with War and Peace, I read about 130 pages or so before I DNF'd, and those were so difficult. And I have read Anna Karenina, and I still think that Anna Karenina is one of the most accessible classics I have ever read. Such a great story, so fun. If you want to read a beginner classic and you're not scared of big books particularly, I think Anna Karenina is great. So fun, so much drama. I wasn't intimidated at all reading War and Peace because I have read his work before, and a lot of people also think that Anna Karenina is very intimidating, so I didn't really think that there would be much of a difference. And then I tortured myself through the first 130 pages. I think it took me a month to get there. And now I don't want to pick this back up again, but I do want to read War and Peace at one point or another in my life. I feel like there will never be a time when I don't have this on my TBR. And right now that's just extremely stressful to me. And I paid full price for it. I mean, it was cheap. Like, considering it's a hardcover, I think I only spent like 10 euros on it. But I have paid full price. And now I don't want to get rid of it. I do want to read this book, but do I actually want to read it from this copy? Wouldn't it be so much easier to just buy an ebook version? It probably would be. There are also some books on here that I'm just like, you shouldn't have. You really shouldn't have. For example, Le Liaisons dangereuses. Dangereuses. Dangerous Liaisons by Choderlos de Laclos. I don't know French. I took Spanish in school. I don't know Spanish either. Okay, don't quote me on that. Mache ein YouTube-Video. Super. Ich weiß immer noch nicht, was das Thema dieses Video ist. Ich rede einfach über die Bücher, die ich nicht gelesen habe und beschwere mich, dass ich sie alle eigentlich gar nicht lesen will. Ja. Riveting content. This book, it's 18th century literature. I don't think I've ever read anything from the 18th century other than, okay, now I have to get my currently readings out. Other than Roxana, which I'm currently reading. I'm pretty much exactly halfway through, although I think there's an afterwards, so maybe more than halfway through actually. I'm enjoying this, but the language... And this one, when I was in a very brief phase where I was just like, I want to read 18th century literature. I want to be an educated girl. You know whose fault that is? Emma Angeline. I was influenced by her. And now I have this book. And I'll probably go through a phase like that again at some point in the future. But until I do, having this on my TBR is stressful to me. You know? I really have to get it into my head to basically reduce my physical TBR to 0 and just get the books that I want to read in the moment that I want to read them in. There are exceptions to this rule. I don't have currently an Agatha Christie on my TBR, but I find that with Agatha Christie at least, I haven't read her for a very long time. Like I just started reading her fall of last year, but so far I've always been in some kind of mood to pick up one of her books. So I don't think I would mind always having one of her books on my TBR because I don't feel like it's a fading mood. It's more just my taste. This was a fading mood and I should have known that, but I didn't. And now I have this book on my TBR that I don't really want to read, but I don't want to get rid of it because I might want to read it in the future. And I just don't know what to do with all of these books. You know what I should do? I should read some. I should just read my TBR. I know that's a wild concept, right? Because currently all the books I'm reading are kind of heavy. Reading Roxana, which I haven't picked up in so long. I have no idea what the last thing was that happened. But this is so funny. Literally, it reads like a drunk friend is just texting you about her sex life at 2 a.m. And you haven't talked in like 2 years. This is exactly the feeling I'm getting from this book. Roxana is a great book. I have to agree with Emma Angeline. Great book. Then I'm reading Tale of Two Cities. If you've seen my what's it called, TBR video for the summer, you know that I also had previously started this book. I got up to page, let me see, 140, and then I picked it up again. Now I'm on page 126. This was one of those rare cases where I just felt an inkling to read it and immediately went for it. Like I was laying in bed, I was like, that would be kind of cool to read right now, and I stormed to the bookshelf. I didn't walk, I ran, okay? So this one, but again, difficult, a lot to annotate. I'm doing a lot of annotating because I'm pretentious like that, and it's emotional, it's very emotional. This is not an easy read. And then I'm reading Lessons in Chemistry by Bonnie Garmus, which has this annoying film on it that just peels off for absolutely no reason. I paid 17 euros for this paperback, okay, and it's peeling. But the book is great, so whatever. I have never seen this on BookTube, but when I went to scan it on Goodreads, it's super popular. I think it had like 50,000 ratings at the time that I was adding it, and it just came out this year. This is probably the newest release I've ever read in my entire life. This is from March, I think. Great book, but because it's about a woman in the 50s and 60s, heavy. It's not an easy read. So yeah, the books I'm reading right now are kind of heavy. This is the currently reading. And here I have 17 books in front of me that I should read just to reduce the stress they're putting me under. I'm just going to go through these like by myself right now and then pick like 3 books, 2 or 3 books, depending on how long they are, that I want to read in the next few weeks. I think the first one's going to be 7 Nights with You, 7 Nächte in Tokyo. This is a story about a girl who lives in Tokyo. I think I already talked about that in my TBR as well. She lives in Tokyo and she's going to move away from Tokyo. She's been living there with her mom for years. I think her mom is originally from the US and she kind of grew up between all sorts of countries because of her mom's job. She was moving countries a lot. And now is the last week of her being in Tokyo. There is a love story. It's going to be very insta-lovey. I'm not very into the love story. Like, that is not why I'm excited about this book. But I am excited just because I have experienced the feeling of, you know, calling a place home and then having to leave it and not being able to really come back to it ever again. So I just think that for that aspect of the story, I'm really going to enjoy this. I feel like I should do a book that is challenging for me, but I just don't want to. I think I should pick one that's been on my TBR for longer, but they all have been on my TBR for longer for a reason. Probably I'm putting Romeo and Juliet in here. It's going to be a quick read. I already know the story. It's very short, obviously. And I have been dying to reread Romeo and Juliet. Okay, let's pick one more. Should we do Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire? I'm not really in the classics mood at the moment. I think it's just weather. Like, I'm just in the mood for some lighter literature. Says a woman that just put fucking Shakespeare on her TBR. And this one's long, but I've already read a big chunk of it. I'm probably not going to reread the whole thing. And then it's not really. Then I only have this much left to go. I think this... Okay, yeah, let's do that. These are the 3. Okay, this is the TBR for the next few weeks. I'm not going to pressure myself to immediately read all of these. And then I think what I'm going to do. I think I'm going to unhaul some of these. Because again, I'm interested in all of these, but I have, since I bought any of them, I've never felt like picking them up and then what is the point, you know? Because like I have here Hope Leslie by Catherine Maria Sedgewick, and this is a story about like the first settlers in America and their relationships and conflicts with the Native Americans, and all of this incredibly horrible period of American history. And I've heard that this is actually one of the best depictions of interracial relationships and just the struggles of this time. I think it's also very female perspective overall. This sounds great. This sounds like a book that I should read. This sounds like a book that I would probably enjoy if I ever read it. Now I'm actually talking myself into putting it on the TBR. It's not that long. It's 370 pages. It is kind of long. Now I want to keep this. Okay, I'm not unhauling this one. I'm putting it on the TBR though. If I haven't read it within the next few weeks, it's going. I promise, it's going. I have totally talked myself into unhauling War and Peace. I'm going to put this in like a free little library in my local supermarket and nobody's going to take this. And why would they? So, I mean, there are annotations and maybe I should keep it. Actually, the pen I wrote this with ran out. I don't have this pen anymore. I love that pen. It was incredible. I don't have any issue with getting rid of books that I have read. By getting rid of books that I haven't read, because I have taste, you know. I don't get books that are bad. Usually the books that I buy are pretty good, to me at least. I trust in myself that all of these are going to provide exactly what I'm expecting from them. So I think I really do believe I could enjoy War and Peace. I'm going to get rid of it. You know what? Let's be harsh today. Okay, next thing I have to ask myself. Because again, just the size of this TBR and the fact that all of these books are so uninspiring to me, it makes this difficult because at one point in my life, I will once again be in the mood to read a French classic or to read a book from this period of time and to read a scandalous novel or whatever. Actually, the foreword, I started reading this, the foreword, hilarious. They were literally quotes from like literary critics of the time, and they were like, it's so unchristian, like, oh my god, it's so naughty. And it was so funny. And that alone, honestly, like if people in the 18th century were upset by this, it must be good, right? Truthfully, I think this is going to be a great time. But until I pick it up, because if I look at this, no inkling. It's about a man who's convincing another man to convince a woman to have sex with him, to take revenge on her husband, I believe. Something along those lines. Which the story sounds very problematic, but I don't always have an issue with problematic. I only have an issue with problematic if the story is unaware of the fact that it's problematic, which I don't think this story has a problem with acknowledging that. What do I do? I'm keeping this one. I am keeping this one. Soll ich das weggeben? Ja. Would I be sad if I never got to read this book? Probably not, but I think it would be fun. I don't always need to read books that I think are going to be incredible. Sometimes I want to read Twilight. Okay, I'm going to read the first few pages. I hate Stephenie Meyer so much. I literally only read 2 sentences of the introduction. I don't know if I've just read too many YN fanfictions at this point in my life, but first-person singular narratives kind of give me Wattpad vibes. And it's also probably because it's Stephenie Meyer, and Stephenie Meyer is just glorified Wattpad, in my opinion. I might add it to my Twilight collection, but I wouldn't be sad if I didn't. I don't think a lot of the others, like the other Cullens, are in here. Or is she getting... I think it's like completely a different story. Like I think after the 3rd book, in this one, she just disappears and does her own thing. I don't care about that. I'm getting rid of that. I'm getting rid of it. The rest of this one's also... My sister bought this for me for Christmas last year, and I didn't get a chance to read it, and I obviously didn't want to just read it at one point in the year. And it's not going to be bad per definition. It's just going to be probably very meaningless. And I don't have an issue with reading meaningless books from time to time, but the question is, do I need to own the meaningless books? Because I'm not going to read this until December time. And I already know that for a fact. So why would I have it on my TBR until then? This is annoying. You know what? I'm going to leave it here. I have 4 books. Let's say like Romeo and Juliet is not really on here, because I just bought this one and I'm definitely going to want to read it at one point. And these 3 all have been on my TBR for quite a lengthy time now, and I'm going to prioritize these. And maybe I'm just not going to buy any more physical books for a little bit, just because I feel like I need to reassess my priorities. So if these 3 on my actual TBR, these are the next books I'm going to pick up. Then we have these 2, which I'm getting rid of. And then we have a whole bunch of other books that I have no idea what to do about. But you know what? I think this is slightly less awful than what we started with. So you know what? I call this progress. And honestly, maybe one of these two I'm definitely picking up in the next few days, because I have been in the mood for both of these. And again, especially Harry Potter, I really want to read it, because I'm on Harry Potter TikTok now. Do you want me to do... Actually, I have been recently obsessed with watching vlog videos, because I'm gonna start university soon, and so because of that I started to watch a lot of other people's university vlogs, and then I started to watch just people's vlogs. And I'm usually not a big vlog person, but I just have really enjoyed watching them recently. So if you want to see a vlog for this TBR, I might make one, because maybe this could be a series, and in each video we pick like 2 or 3 new books that are on my existing TBR, and we read those. That could be fun. Oh my god, something good is actually coming out of this video. So again, the first one, my most recent purchase, I think, Romeo and Juliet by William Shakespeare. Christmas at the Island Hotel, Jenny Collion. To the Lighthouse by Virginia Woolf. The Book Thief by Marcus Zusak, which I'm scared of, but also very excited for. I'm definitely going to read that this winter. Then we have Crime and Punishment. Again, very scared of and not as excited for, to be honest. Thousand Splendid Sun, Carlo Cecilia. Liaisons, c'était dangereuses. Choderlos de Laclos. Then I have Convenience Store Woman by, what's her name? Sayaka Murata. I don't speak Japanese. 100 Years of Solitude, Gabriel Garcia Marquez. Exciting Times, Nisha Dolan. Sanditon by Jane Austen. And last but definitely not least, I'm actually so excited for this one, Vergiss mich nicht by Kerstin Gier. These are all of the books that are currently on my physical TBR, and I think it would be fun to do a series where I always pick like 2 or 3 books to read for a video, just to reduce this and, you know, ensure that eventually I get to a TBR of like 0 books or maybe 2 or 3 books. Thank you all so much for watching this entire mess. It's 40 minutes long. This is going to be so annoying to edit. Okay, thanks so much for watching. I'll put my summer TBR video actually somewhere here, so you guys can watch that and see that I'm terrible with TBRs. And you can also subscribe on the other side, and if you do, I'll see you for my next video. Bye!